claims of Ireland's demise were emphatically silenced at Twickenham as Andy Farrell's men delivered a ruthless statement-making 42-21 victory over England in the Six Nations. Any whispers that this experienced Irish side had begun to fade were swept away in a display of power, precision, and clinical execution that left the home crowd stunned and Steve Borthwick's team searching for answers. From the opening exchanges to the final whistle, Ireland were sharper, smarter, and significantly more physical. They crossed for 5 tries in a dominant performance that revived memories of their peak years in 2022 and 2023, overwhelming an England side that once again flattered to deceive. Fast start lays the foundation. The contest began at a measured pace, with Ireland nudging ahead through a Jack Crowley penalty after 8 minutes. That early three-pointer, however, was merely the prelude to a devastating period that would define the afternoon. With the game still relatively even approaching the half-hour mark, Ireland suddenly shifted gears. Their tempo increased, their decision-making became razor-sharp, and England's defensive structure crumbled under sustained pressure. The catalyst was Jamison Gibson-Park. The scrum half's awareness and speed of thought caught England napping when he tapped a quick penalty and darted through a disorganized defensive line to score. It was a moment that encapsulated the gulf between the sides. Ireland alert and inventive, England sluggish and reactive. That breakthrough opened the floodgates. Moments later, a surging break from Stuart McCloskey exposed soft tackling in midfield, with Ollie Lawrence unable to halt the powerful center. Though McCloskey was dragged down just short, Gibson-Park once again played a pivotal role. Despite being illegally impeded at the breakdown by Freddie Stewart, who was promptly sin-binned, the scrum half managed to release Rob Baloucoune on the wing for an unopposed finish. England, already struggling with 15 men, were in complete disarray with 14 down from the restart. Josh van der Flier burst through the fractured English line, and although that particular move did not yield points, it was a sign of what was to come. Ireland recycled swiftly, stretched the defense, and executed with composure. Baloucoune turned provider this time, sending Tommy O'Brien on early for the injured James Lowe. Over in the corner, in the space of 10 breathless minutes, Ireland had transformed a tight contest into a 22-0 advantage. Twickenham, so often a fortress, was reduced to near silence. Brief English resistance to their credit, England managed to steady themselves just before the break. Fraser Dingwall crossed on the stroke of halftime, offering a glimmer of hope and reducing the deficit. At 22-7, there was at least a sense that the hosts could regroup and mount a challenge in the second half. But that optimism proved fleeting. Physical supremacy resumes if the first half showcased Ireland's attacking fluency. The opening exchanges of the second period underlined their physical dominance. Captain Caelan Doris embodied that edge, shrugging off Ellis Genge with alarming ease before galloping 30 meters upfield. It was a demoralizing moment for England and a symbolic one for Ireland's resurgence. Under sustained pressure once more, England's discipline faltered. Henry Pollock was shown a yellow card for repeated infringements, and Ireland capitalized clinically. Dan Sheehan powered over for the bonus point try, effectively extinguishing any realistic hopes of an English comeback. A T29-7. The gulf was both on the scoreboard and in the collisions. Ireland were winning the gain line battle, controlling territory and dictating tempo. Their breakdown work was efficient, their kicking game intelligent, and their defensive line speed suffocating. England attempted to respond. Ollie Lawrence did cross the whitewash in the second half, and later Sam Underhill added another try to reduce the final margin. But these moments felt more cosmetic than transformative. Even when Jamie Osborne spent 10 minutes in the sin bin, Ireland displayed maturity and composure. Rather than retreating into their shells, they controlled possession, managed territory, and ensured England could not exploit the numerical advantage. A Jack Crowley penalty during that period kept the scoreboard ticking and momentum firmly in green hands. When Osborne returned, he capped a fine individual performance by finishing off another flowing move. The fullback's try was the perfect exclamation point on an afternoon of collective excellence. Tactical intelligence and cohesion. What made Ireland's performance particularly impressive was the blend of tactical intelligence and cohesion. Gibson-Park orchestrated proceedings superbly, varying tempo and keeping England's defensive line guessing. Crowley controlled territory with his boot and distributed confidently in attack. In midfield, Gary Ringrose and Stuart McCloskey combined physicality with subtle distribution, while the back three consistently threatened in broken play. Up front, the Irish pack laid a formidable platform. Dan Sheehan was dynamic both at the set piece and in open play, while Tadhg Beirne and James Ryan were industrious and disruptive. Perhaps most striking was Ireland's defensive organization. England's attack, featuring players capable of brilliance, rarely found rhythm. George Ford struggled to impose himself, and Alex Mitchell was frequently harried at the base of the ruck. The Red Rose carriers were met with dominant tackles, and their support runners were often isolated. England's ongoing struggles for England. This defeat compounded the disappointment of their previous loss to Scotland. Once again, there were flashes of promise, but little sustained cohesion. Their defensive alignment was exposed repeatedly, particularly in transition, and their discipline at critical moments proved costly. Steve Borthwick's side looked reactive rather than proactive, unable to seize momentum or wrest control from an inspired opponent. The sin binnings of Stewart and Pollock highlighted lapses in judgment, and the inability to cope with Ireland's speed of thought was telling. Leadership, too, will come under scrutiny. Mauro Itoje captained the side, but England appeared short of on-field direction during Ireland's first-half blitz. The response, after conceding, was fragmented rather than unified. A statement win for Ireland. The victory was more than just 2 competition points and a bonus. It was a powerful rebuttal to suggestions that their golden era had passed. The blend of experienced campaigners and emerging talent clicked seamlessly, producing what many will regard as one of their most complete performances in recent seasons. Andy Farrell's men remain firmly in the Six Nations title hunt, and on this evidence, they are capable of beating any side in the tournament. Their attacking patterns looked revitalized, their physical conditioning sharp, and their mental edge unmistakable. The 42-21 scoreline did not flatter them. If anything, it could have been harsher on England. Twickenham has witnessed many memorable clashes between these old rivals, but few have seen Ireland assert such comprehensive control. Every facet of the game, set piece, breakdown, defense, kicking, and finishing, tilted in their favor for long stretches. Conclusion in the end, this was a performance of authority and conviction. Ireland combined flair with ferocity, intelligence with intensity. They dismantled England in the physical exchanges, exploited defensive frailties, and maintained composure when challenged. For England, serious questions remain about consistency, structure, and discipline. For Ireland, meanwhile, the message to the rest of the Six Nations is unmistakable. Reports of their decline have been greatly exaggerated. If this display is a sign of what lies ahead, the championship race is very much alive, and Ireland are back at the heart of it.